Why I left Islam. That will be the topic for today. In case anyone is watching, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good greetings. So recently I have reacted to a couple of videos of Brother Daud Kim, how he embraces Islam with his shahada, his experiences to pray 5 times a day in Korea. And for today I would like to find something that is on the opposite side, especially if I can find some video where someone explain why he or she leave Islam or left Islam, right? So, and I would react to that and whatever he want to say or she want to say, right? So without further ado, let's go. Now this is on YouTube. I search why I left Islam, and so becoming ex-Muslim, the secret group of young Australian who left Islam. Alright, so this seems interesting, but it is 21 0.46, it's 20 minutes plus. So I think if I reacted to it, this video will be very long. It will be 40 minutes or so. So I'm trying to, on the first try, I'm trying to find something that is quite short. Ex-Muslims share their experiences. This is only 4 minutes. This might be interesting. Let's browse through. First, why Tipu Sultan left Islam? Because he Tipu Sultan. That is interesting. I'm assuming that is his name, Tipu Sultan. Why did he Tipu Sultan? Nabil Qureshi, why I stopped believing Islam is religion of peace. So this is also, but I think I have heard of him before. He's quite a preacher on the opposite side, leaving the faith, former Muslim, 420. But some of the video here might not actually address the reason. Rescuing ex-Muslim leaving Islam, this is 18 minutes. Okay, former US Muslim break silence, 3 minutes, that's too short maybe. Living in fear, okay, this is the teaser, something, leaving Islam, the danger of leaving Islam, okay, that's too long. Ex-Muslim petrol, sorry, okay, I'm an ex-Muslim. Let's land on one of these. Let's see. Is there anything interesting? Lindsay Lohan converting on Islam. Donald Trump, I think Islam hates us. Interesting, but that's 50-second clip. Is there anyone? Okay, this seems like a personal video. So how many minutes? 9 minutes. So let's try and listen to her, and I'll be reacting to this, inshallah. Alright, here goes.
When I was in grade 3, my best friend told me that her parents said that we couldn't be friends anymore because she was Jewish and I was Muslim.
Okay, is that the only reason? But we will hear more from her first, right, before passing on judgment. But that is quite interesting, and that can be a real issue, right? If I mean, that's real meaning that happens. I do think that many Muslim parents would not like their children to become friends with Jewish children. I think, generally speaking, I'm not saying that's right, I'm not saying that's wrong, I'm not saying anything about it. I'm just saying the fact that I think that tend to happen. Let's hear her first.
A lot of people have asked me over the years of me streaming online and being on YouTube why I left Islam, and I've answered it a couple of times, but I've never actually made a full video on it. And I feel like it's something that should be addressed and talked about, because it is something that I feel like could help a lot of people that are maybe questioning things, or help people understand where I'm coming from. Now, I've been afraid to make a video like this because I don't want people getting in the comments and thinking that either I'm A, an Uncle Tom to the Muslim world, if that makes sense, or B, that I am trying to state that the culture or the religion itself is awful and terrible. But I can only give my personal opinions and accounts on things and arrive at my own conclusion and do what's best for me, and I would like to, in my best way, articulate those feelings and thoughts through this video. Telling my dad that I'm not Muslim was probably the hardest thing that I've ever done in my whole entire life. At 16 years old, I sat my dad down and I had a talk with him.
So she left Islam officially with his dad at 16. I would imagine that is quite an experience, right? Because saying something to your parent as huge news as that at 16, what more that I guess it would be quite a huge challenge to even come up and have the courage to say something like that to your parent, right? Any big decision in your life at 16, I think.
Basically telling him that I no longer wanted to be a part of Islam. I didn't want to be Muslim anymore, and I just wanted to be agnostic or spiritual. I don't really know what the word is. And
so that is interesting. She want to get out from Islam, not because she found something else, but rather she want to be agnostic, meaning that by that I think the main issue, you can infer that it is lack of belief in the system or the religion itself, right? It's not that she found something else that is better, but basically the idea of having religion itself is not a convincing thing to her, I think, right? So anyone who want to become agnostic from a religion background, I think that might be the common reason. I'm assuming.
he did not take it fantastic. Now, I understand why he wouldn't take it fantastic, because to him, this means that I'm going to hell. This is one of the worst things that could ever happen to him as a parent, and I think in a lot of ways he blamed himself because he married my mother, who was a Catholic who converted to Islam, and his father always warned him that that would mean that we would come out atheist.
That is interesting. Okay, so some interesting background there. First, his father married a revert, basically, right? I'm not sure what's the story there. Normally, marrying a person who revert to Islam should not be a problem, right? However, if the conversion only happened just because it is the only way to make the marriage possible, that, if not being substantiated later on or with something, that's quite shaky, I think. And she mentioned earlier about the concern of her daughter going to hell, end up in hell, right? As a parent, we do fearful of that, I think, right? For myself, for my spouse, for my children, I do not want anyone to go to hell, right? That's obvious. That should be the obvious. However, I think how it translates into action is the thing that as a Muslim we should discuss on that more, because sometimes we feel like being officially a Muslim is that what make us go into paradise and safe from hell. So if anyone want to officially become non-Muslim, that is what we are fearful. The most fearful thing we fear the most, right? But from my perspective, it's different. It is actually our action to submit, because Muslim is basically being in submission and obedient to Almighty God, right? So I'm more concerned about the action, right? Because the action, if someone's still officially a Muslim, but his action is totally out of Islam, that is also something that I'm terribly fearful of, right? So it's not just that person officially becoming non-Muslim, but his lifestyle, his thinking, etc. So I think there's an issue there in our society where we just don't want people to officially go out, but when they are still officially in, we never really address the issue that create his action, which already highlights that something need to be addressed. But anyway, we'll continue first.
My dad didn't believe him, and I guess being faced with the reality of things was really hard on him, and it was a very difficult time for our family. As difficult as it was at the time, we have really worked on things, and we have become closer as a family, and my dad at least can tolerate or understand where I'm coming from, and we have a healthy relationship. But it's definitely something that was really hard to communicate at the beginning and took a lot of time to heal. So if you are somebody in this situation, or you are questioning things, the first thing I want to say is don't be afraid to question things. It's important in life to question.
I do agree totally. Do question things, and for myself, I think that is what I have been doing all this while I do question a lot of things, and that make me things deeper on issues, and that is what lead me to this position right now that I am in, and the belief that I have inside, right? So I think not only that is important to being critical and think about things, right, but also to find a way to find the truth, right? Sometimes we question things but we do not find the actual answer. That is also not really getting to the solution, I would think.
Everything, and two, it does get easier, and things won't always stay the way that they are at the moment, because yeah, it was rough for a bit. Now I know a lot of people are expecting me to bash the religion completely and talk about how awful Islam is in general, and that's really not what I'm here to do. I would like to clarify first, yes, we were very active at the mosque. We went every Friday that we could go.
That is interesting. Okay, I think she will list certain things, but I do not want to wait until the end. She said she went almost every Friday or something, but because in Malaysia, in a Muslim majority country like Malaysia, I don't think that there's a lot of women or girls that go to go to the mosque or the masjid in Friday. I don't think so. So that is quite interesting if she actually did go there. I'm not sure what is the background.
I guess because we did have school. We fasted during Ramadan, and we did all of that good stuff. My father prays 5 times a week, and
Did I hear it correct? My father goes to the mosque 5 times a week.
Did during Ramadan, and we did all of that good stuff. My father prays 5 times a week.
Okay, I'm assuming that slip of the tongue, right? She want to say his father's pray 5 times a day. But if actually the father pray 5 times a week, then that's a problem, I would say. How come, right? But I'm assuming it is just a slip of the tongue. She want to say his father pray 5 times a day. I'm assuming, of course.
And wanted us to pray when we were readily available. We were raised very Muslim, and I really wasn't exposed to the Irish side of my family because my father wanted to raise us very much in the Arab culture and in the Muslim faith.
So we were raised very Muslim, so she was not she was raised very Muslim, but then she contrasted with being Irish background and then Arab culture. So I think that is another thing that sometimes is very, very confusing if we do not address it, right? Because for many Muslim majority country and Muslim majority society, Islam is tied to the society, to the culture so much, meaning the value of Islam become the culture. That's very good, but the culture becomes what we understand as Islam. That can be very deceiving, I think, and that is a problem also, where when anyone grow up thinking all of the culture is Islam, while some of the Arab culture, Malay culture, etc., is not really mesh well with Islamic understanding, right? So I think that's another topic that we can address. Will be a long video, but that's also another issue, right? So we are only 3 minutes in, so I shouldn't pause too much, maybe.
Started this video off with the little anecdote that I did because it kind of rings true for this whole video and how I feel about organized religion in general. It wasn't until I was in junior high when I was faced with a situation where I had the choice to lie and get away with it or tell the truth. And the reason why I told the truth was because I was convinced I was going to hell. Later on I thought about it, and it was kind of concerning to me that as a person or as an individual, I wasn't making a choice. I was making a choice due to religion, and that's where things really started to bother me.
I'm trying to process this because it seems like the idea of being an individualism is what she feels being contradictory to having a religion that tell you to do stuff, if I understand correctly, right? So and she didn't say that we do not do something because religion is the one that constraining us, etc. Right? So yeah, I will hear more from her before we continue.
In grade 10, I had a friend telling me about how when we die, there's nothing there, we just die. And I had the shock of my life, and I really started to realize that maybe life isn't exactly the way that it was mapped out or told by my parents. And I started to wonder if maybe I wasn't getting the whole picture. Now,
so there's a lot there. I'm not sure if I pick everything, but because if I understand it correctly, because the parent always tell us when we die there's heaven and hell, etc. So we believe it, and then suddenly our friend says, no, nothing will happen. So it shake our core belief that, wait a minute, so not all of the things that my parents tell us is the truth, right? Now I think, unfortunately, I think generally speaking, whatever religion people bring up the children, everything is being passed down as a fact, right? Okay, it's a fact that when you die this will happen, etc. Right? There's no substantiating those statement, right? Meaning why do we got this from? How can we trust that source of information, etc. Right? So I think all of this is part of the thing that makes many people of religion, when they grow up, they can come a time where they would just want to grow out of the religion, right? Because everything is passed down without any logical reasoning, without any reasoning at all. And suddenly when they hear any different version or different reality or something that people say, it becomes, so that, because if you have a reasoning behind what what the fact that we know, so when something else comes, you will also ask what is the reasoning there, and you can see which one is stronger in reasoning, right? However, when we just accept something or pass down something without any reasoning, I think that's the beginning of the problem, a lot of the problem that we see today, I think. So generally speaking,
anybody who is exposed to more than just their own parents' ideologies will get the shock of their lives when they talk to people about what they think when people die, how they feel about religion, is there a heaven or a hell. You are not ready for those conversations because you have been told a certain thing your whole life and you believe it as fact. And when those conversations start to happen, you really start to question a lot of things, and that's definitely what happened for me. And I want to put it out there, it is completely normal. If you are somebody who is going through questioning your faith or going through questioning how you were raised or what you're being told, it is completely normal and it's scary, but you should really investigate your feelings and how you're feeling, because if I didn't investigate how I was feeling and looked into things and really self-reflected, I don't think I would have separated from the faith.
I do agree that you should question things. I do agree it is normal to question things, and that is why I do prefer that the questioning process comes very early, right? Before you just pass down, this is fact, just accept it, do not think about it. I do not like that approach. I do like the approach where you think about it, you question, and hence when you get the answer and the reasoning, if the reasoning is strong, you understand it with a strong reasoning, right? Strong foundation. So that's number one. Number two, she keep compare it to how she is feeling, right? So I have not explored what I feel, etc. Right? So I think the way we feel and the way we accept something to be true, you have to really define, right? Because it can be different in terms of how I feel and how I want to feel, and what is the truth, what is the fact. And meaning, if something is the truth, it is the truth regardless of how you feel, right? So
And I would like to clarify that I don't think it's the specific faith that really had me feeling the way that I felt. I think whether it's Christianity, Judaism, Islam, whatever, I think that there are always things in religions that are restricting and always compromise the individual. And I think if you are truly seeking to be an individual and getting to know yourself and being you, having any sort of label, especially a religion, is incredibly dangerous. And that's pretty much what I arrived to on my own.
Okay, so I think I did mention before, I sense that it is an issue of individualism, and if you want to be an individual, so religion will be constraining you, right? Now there are several things there. So she said that if you want to be an individual now, so that's one question that we should discuss. What do I want to be, right? So hopefully we'll do a video on that soon, right? Because that is a big question. What do you want to be? What do I want in this life, right? Because that's a major question. Because here it seems like the conclusion on that is already there. I want to be an individual. What does that mean, right? How that should I be like that, right? So that's a big question there. Second, religion do constrain. I do accept that fact that there are many constraint and restraint in religion, right? I'm not sure if I use the words correctly, but I think you understand what I mean. But it is not only restriction, right? If anyone who understand religion or Islam in depth, it's not just restriction, right? It's actually making you to have a big goal in your life, making you pursue and achieve big things in life, etc., etc. But also, yes, there are constraints, there are restrictions due to certain things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So that's on its own is one video, right? So I think there are many issues there that if you do not resolve these foundation issues, then when it comes to religion, then you will making decision based on how you feel, what you want to be, etc., that might not be resolved in a good way previously, right? So it will have a chain effect there. So I think there's the basic things should come first, and maybe hopefully I will be doing a video on that, right? Because that's one of my passion my passion to discuss on those kind of things, because I think there's a lack of discussion on those things in the Muslim community that I grew up in, right? Normally we just pass down information and the kids have to accept it as fact, and I don't like that approach that much.
I thought about it, the way that I dressed. Did I dress that way because that's what I wanted to do, or did I dress that way because my faith told me to be modest? Was I telling the truth because I wanted to be a good person and I cared about others, or was I telling the truth because I was afraid of going to hell? Did I pray 5 times a day because it was therapeutic to me, or I really believed in what I was doing, or was I doing it because I was terrified of the consequences that may or may not happen? And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I was a label first before I was a person.
So there are several things there, which also does deserve a whole video to discuss on that. But she did mention that do I pray for something that will make a consequences that may or may not happen, right? So that in the first place is an issue where she's not really convinced that there is the judgment day. Hence this question becomes on the air, and it can go either way, right? And hence this discussion become a valid discussion. If you truly believe that the judgment day in hereafter is in fact the truth based on the reasoning, blah blah blah, right? The discussion will be a bit different, right? Because that is factually will going to be happening. So what do I want to do about it, right? So yeah, right now it's more on, do I do this because I want to be a good person, or if I do this because this religion constrict me, put the constraints for me to do it, and the consequences I do not even know whether it's going to happen or not, something like that, right? So the discussion will be totally different if we've settled the foundation issues, I think.
And that really terrified me. And I thought back to the girl that I was friends with in grade 3 who told me that her parents told us we couldn't be friends because she was Jewish and I was Muslim. And I really started to realize that all religion is, especially in today's day and age, is limitations.
Oh, so the parent of the friend is the one that tells her that she cannot be friend with this Muslim girl, used to be Muslim girl, right? So, okay. I guess from the Jewish side also, I assume the society is almost like the Muslim in the sense that we between each other we are,
It's limitations on friend choice, clothing choice, behavioral choice, food choice. You can't eat pork, you can't eat marshmallows. You know how shitty it was to grow up and not be able to eat marshmallows?
we cannot eat marshmallow. I did not know that. I'm not sure actually what is the ingredient of marshmallow. I do not know, but in our country, marshmallow I think is made up from halal ingredients, so there's no problem for eating it. But I'm not sure in the US, is it containing something that is prohibited in Islam? I never know that.
That's ass. Was it an easy decision to arrive at? Absolutely not. It caused a lot of pain for a lot of people, and it also made me feel extremely lost. It's terrifying to hold on to something and be like, this is what I am, and then have that taken away from you. But I feel like if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't have explored or realized who I was as a human being. And I know...
So she didn't realize who she was as a human being before, and I'm assuming she has found that afterwards, right? So that's a quite interesting question also, right? What do you realize about yourself as a human being? That's also a core question that leads toward many different discussion that will be different if you answer it one way or another, right?
A lot of people can criticize me for things that I've done in my past, and those things would be considered haram by Muslim standards, but I'm thankful for the things that I've done in my past, and I've learned from the things that I've done in my past, and I wouldn't be who I am today if I had those labels and limitations on me. So I guess what I'm trying to say is the reason why I left the Muslim faith was for the same reason that I would leave any faith. I think that we as people do not need to have limitations on ourselves, such as religion and other things, because once you put those things on you, you shut the door on so many opportunities, and you will never realize your full potential, and that's my true belief.
So that's quite interesting. So we do not need any limitation that will prevent us from reaching our true potential, something like that, right? I might want to hear more. What exactly that is preventing her, or she thinks that's preventing her from reaching to her true potential? And what is the true potential, right? If it's being individually doing what you want to do, etc., perhaps, but because that also is question that need to be answered properly, I think.
So if you're somebody out there and you are being raised in an environment that you're starting to question, don't be afraid, because you're growing, and that's not a bad thing.
I do agree. If you question things, normally that's a way to grow, as long as I think the questioning part is one major steps. Of course, the next step is to find the true answer, the correct answer, the valid answer, right? That's also important, right? But it starts with questioning, and if you do never question things, sometimes you do not realize you are the wrong path. Sometimes even if you are on the right path, you are not entirely sure you are on the right path, right? So either or, you are on shaky ground.
Anyways, guys, I hope that answered your question. I know I get it a lot, and I know people were expecting me to say something like, oh, because they're all women-hating terrorists. So I'm sorry I didn't deliver on that. But I hope that I shed some light on the subject in general, and I'll see you guys next time, whenever that is. Until then, peace.
Okay, so that is it. That was my reaction. I think overall, I think this highlight the importance of having a a really good discussion with his kids, right, from the very beginning, so that they feel empowered to question things, to dig up and analyze, and then find and seek the true answer, the valid answer. I think that's very important, right? So that they will have the confidence on what they believe in, because the reasoning is strong, right? And if they are brought up like that, any stronger reasoning, they can straight away see and compare which one is stronger, which one is more valid, etc., right? That's how I think we should be dealing with things as human being. And I truly believe that what the belief system, the religion that I have right now, I hold on to this because I'm strongly believe of the reasoning, and this is the truth, right? It's not just because I was brought up from the Muslim family, etc., etc., right? So that is very important. And I think also because the lack of, perhaps not many parents can have that discussion, right? I'm not sure. Yeah, because sometimes we depend on the school, right? So the discourse among Muslim is also important, and hence I hope I will be able to do my best in whatever capacity that I can in this channel, for example, to have this kind of discussion among Muslim. Perhaps why exactly are we a Muslim, right? Is it just because we are from a Muslim family? That is not a strong reason, right? I don't think so. So anyway, so I'm not sure how many minutes have this been. I hope it's not too long. And yeah, if there's any question that you think I should be discussing on and will be helpful for anyone out there, please do comment, and I hope we can go in the right direction towards what is needed out there, inshallah. With that, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and have a great week.